Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Fit Focus Forum, where we take the complexity out of fitness and put the focus back on action. So we give high-achieving professionals, the ones juggling 50-hour work weeks, constant travel, and maybe a little bit of low-key burnout, the precise strategies they need to own their fitness without sacrificing their careers or their sanity. Today, we're calling out the biggest lie in your vocabulary. It's the excuse that keeps you 20 pounds heavier than you want to be, even though you're winning in every other area of your life. It's the too busy trap. We're going to talk about why being busy is actually a form of avoidance, especially when you're navigating the unique anxieties of being gay and the pressure to show up a certain way. We're going to move from managing time to prioritizing yourself. So if you've been waiting for your schedule to calm down before you lose that weight, this is the reality check that you need. So let's get right into it. So in our community, especially for those of us over 30 who have fought hard to get where we are professionally, busy is often worn like a badge of honor. We're the guys on the 6 a.m. flight, the ones answering emails at midnight, the ones everybody relies on. We use busy as a shield. If I'm busy, I'm important. If I'm busy, I'm needed. But here's the cold hard truth. Busy is a smokescreen. It's a socially acceptable way to say, I'm not in control of my life. Think about that for a second. When you tell me you're too busy to lose that 15 or 20 pounds, you're effectively telling me that your boss, your clients, your HR department, and your inbox have more power over you physically than you do. You're a high performer at work, but you're low performing at self governance. It's time to take the power back. I see this most often with my clients who travel for work. I know what that travel schedule does to your mental state. I know the specific flavor of anxiety that kicks in when you're in a new city, when you're landing at 9 p.m. after a delayed flight, and the only thing open is the hotel bar or late night room service that takes 45 minutes to bring you a mediocre club sandwich. You feel too busy because your brain is stuck in survival mode. You're in a constant state of scanning for threats, the next meeting, the next presentation, the next conflict. And in that state, your brain deprioritizes your health because it thinks you're in a crisis. You think you don't have the time to work out, but what you actually don't have is a system for when you're out of your routine. Anxiety feeds on the busy narrative. It tells you that if you take 30 minutes for a workout, the world will fall apart. A client will leave, or you'll miss a critical update. But the opposite is true. That 20 pounds you're carrying, that's not just extra calories. It's physical evidence of the stress that you have not processed. It's the physical weight of every yes you gave to someone else when you should have said no. That one's for you, Tom. When you prioritize yourself, the anxiety stops driving the car. So let's talk about why we do this to ourselves. For many of us, especially in the gay professional community, we've spent our entire lives overperforming to prove our worth. We think that if we aren't the hardest working person in the room, that we're vulnerable, right? So we fill every second of the day. But that filling is often just a distraction from the fact that we're uncomfortable being still. We're uncomfortable looking in the mirror and seeing someone who is successful on paper but doesn't recognize his own reflection. We use the busy excuse to avoid the work that actually matters, the internal work of deciding that we are worth the effort. So, how do we actually fix this? I'm giving you the three pillars I use with my private clients to kill the busy excuse forever. These aren't just tips, these are a foundation of a new operating system. First we have to talk about the 15-minute protocol. The biggest reason you fail is that you think fitness requires a 60-minute event. You think you need to find a gym, change your clothes, drive there, do a proper workout, shower, and get back. And if this is possible, that's the best way to do it, right? But in your mind, that's a 2 hour block. And when you look at your calendar, you don't see 2 hours, right? You say, I'll do it when I get home, but then you get home and you're exhausted, so you skip it again. This is a cycle of failure. When you're traveling, a 60-minute workout is a fantasy, so stop looking for a gym. If the hotel gym is a dungeon or non existent, you do your 15 minutes of body weight intervals in your room. I want you to understand the science of this. Short, intense bursts of movement regulate your nervous system. They move you out of a fight or flight and into a rest or digest. So do like 40 seconds of air squats and 20 seconds of rest, 40 seconds of push-ups, 20 seconds of rest, 40 seconds of planks, 20 seconds of rest. Repeat that 5 times. That's it. You've spiked your metabolic rate, managed your cortisol, and most importantly, you've proved to your brain that you're in control. You aren't too busy for 15 minutes. You're just too proud to admit that 15 minutes counts. You don't always have to do the full 60, but if you can, go at it. I have clients who are CEOs of multi-million dollar companies who do this in their suites before, a gala because they know that 15 minutes of movement changes their presence in the room. It makes them move from anxious to authoritative. Next we have the decision matrix for your nutrition. You tell me you're too busy to meal prep, right? I get it. I'm not going to ask you to carry Tupperware of chicken and broccoli through TSA, but you aren't too busy to make a better choice at a terminal restaurant or a steakhouse dinner. High performers suffer from decision fatigue. By the time you sit down for dinner at 7 p.m., you've made 1,000 decisions at work. Your willpower is gone. So you look at the menu and you order the comfort food, the pasta, the bread basket, the three old fashions. You need to use what I call the rule of one. This is how you navigate those business dinners without feeling like the odd man out, but also without ruining your progress. You pick one indulgence, just one. If you're at a business dinner and everyone is drinking and you want to drink, have it. But that means you skip the bread and you skip the dessert. If you really want that side of fries, fine, but skip the alcohol. You pick one. Then you simplify the rest. Order double greens and a lean protein like chicken, fish, or sirloin at every sit down meal. Don't scan the menu for 10 minutes looking for a miracle or a healthy version of a burger. Pick the fuel, move on. You've just removed the decision fatigue that leads to binge eating when you're stressed. You're no longer too busy to eat well. You're just too disciplined to be distracted. Now, let's talk about the hardest part for most of you, the boundary script. High achievers are often people pleasers in disguise. You say yes to the 7 a.m. meeting because you're afraid of looking like you aren't a team player. You say yes to the late night drinks because you don't want to miss the networking. But every time you say yes to a meeting, that could have been an email, you are saying no to your longevity. You need a script for your boundaries. So when someone tries to book over your morning walk or your 15-minute protocol, you don't apologize. You say, I have a hard commitment until 8:30 a.m., but I can jump on right after that. Notice I didn't say I'm going to the gym. You don't have to justify it. It's a hard commitment. You are the CEO of your life, and you have a recurring meeting with the most important stakeholder, your future self. I had a client, let's just call him Mark, a high-level consultant. He was terrified that if he didn't answer emails the second he woke up, he'd lose his edge. So we implemented a 90-minute phone lock. So the first 90 minutes of his day, his phone stayed in the hotel safe or in his bedroom. He used that time to move, to breathe, and to eat a real breakfast. Within 3 weeks, his anxiety plummeted. He lost 8 pounds of water weight and inflammation. And here's the kicker. His boss actually complimented him on how much more focused he seemed in the morning meetings. He wasn't too busy. He was just too accessible. The biggest mistake my guys make before we work together is looking for gaps in their calendar to fit in fitness. This is an amateur move. Newsflash. As a high performer, you will never have a gap. If a gap appears, an email will fill it. If a gap appears, a quick sync will find it. You don't find time, you command it. You need to treat your health like a non-negotiable VIP client. Think about it. You wouldn't cancel on a client who pays you six figures because you were too busy. You would make it work. Well, your health is the client that pays for everything else. If your health goes, the career goes, the travel goes, the lifestyle goes. You're the most important client in your life. If you can't manage a 20-minute walk in a hotel gym or a 15-minute circuit in your bedroom, you aren't busy. You're just not the director of your own schedule yet. We went over that last week. You're an assistant to your own life. So let's get real about that 10 to 20 pounds for a moment. I want you to sit with this. That weight is not just a cosmetic issue. For many of the men that I coach, it's a physical manifestation of putting everyone else first. It's the weight of yes that you gave, it's the weight of the yes you gave to your firm and the no's you gave to your own well-being. It's a layer of protection against the stress of your job. When you say I'm too busy, you're effectively saying my health isn't worth the discomfort of setting a boundary. But what is that busyness costing you? It's costing you your confidence when you have to get ready for a night out in the city like New York or West Hollywood and nothing fit quite right. It's costing you your energy during the 3 p.m. afternoon push when you're reaching for a third espresso just to stay awake. It's costing you your presence in your relationships because you're too exhausted to be anything other than a zombie when you finally get home. That weight is the price of your busyness. Is it worth it? Is the extra hours of emails worth the fact that you're uncomfortable in your own skin? I want you to perform a traveler's audit this week. If you're on the road, or even if you're just in your home office, look at your last 48 hours. I want you to be brutally honest. How many hours were spent in pseudo work, like scrolling through LinkedIn, over preparing for a meeting you already knew by heart, or sitting at a hotel bar because you didn't want to go back to the lonely room and be alone with your thoughts? You'll find the time, it's there. It's usually buried under the habits that are keeping you stuck. We don't need more hours in the day. We need more boundaries in our lives. You need to be able to say between 7 and 8 a.m., I am unavailable to the world because I am busy becoming the man that I want to be. So as we wrap up today, I want you to remember that the busy trap is a choice. Every morning you choose who is in charge. Is it the inbox? Is it you? You can stay the guy who is killing it at work but feels like a stranger in his own body, or you can be the guy who commands his time, his health, and his future. You have the discipline to lead teams, to navigate complex global markets, to travel the world, to run your own business. It's time to use that same discipline to drop the weight and lose the anxiety. So you're not too busy. You're just ready for a new system. So if you're ready to stop being busy and start being instrumental, your next move is simple. It's my turn. It's time to stop the slide. If you want the exact blueprint we use to help high-performing gay professionals reclaim their bodies without quitting their jobs, comment my turn if you're watching this on the replay, and we are going to send you our skinny fat blueprint. We're going to show you exactly how to lose that 20 pounds without needing a 25-hour day. So stop letting your schedule dictate your worth. Take 15 minutes. Use the rule of one. Say no to the 7 a.m. meeting. Take your power back. Thanks for joining me on the Fit Focus Forum, guys. We'll talk soon.